As strange as this might sound, 2XKO is somehow one of the best entry points into the fighting game genre I've seen, despite simultaneously being the hardest 2D fighter I've ever made an earnest attempt to get good at. This 2v2 tag fighter set in the world of League of Legends opens its arms to inexperienced players with a free-to-play pricing model, simple special move inputs, a unique dual play option that lets you team up with a more experienced friend, and optional single button auto combos that do respectable damage. But once you take the training wheels off, that approachability is accompanied by some of the grimiest mix-ups I've ever seen. Powerful characters that can delete your health bar by capitalizing on a single mistake, and technically demanding combos that are required to truly unlock your damage potential. It's a sense of power that can be thrilling to harness and harrowing when it gets wielded against you. The ultimate result is a game that hits that sweet spot of being easy to pick up, difficult to master, and highly enjoyable no matter your skill level. There's a whole lot to unpack, so let's start with 2XKO's focus on simple controls. Unlike most fighting games that at least offer the option to use motion-based command inputs for special moves, like those dating back to the Street Fighter and Mortal Kombat arcade cabinet days, 2XKO simplifies all of its specials and super moves to single or simultaneous 2-button presses. So instead of doing a quarter circle forward motion for a fireball, all you have to do is press the S1 button. If you want to do a super, you press an attack button and one of the special buttons at the same time. And if you want to do your ultimate attack, you press both special buttons at the same time. This is a double-edged sword, because while it does make it a little easier for a complete newcomer who has trouble with quarter circle or dragon punch inputs, it also turns what should be a 4-button game with light, medium, and heavy attack buttons, plus a tag button, into a 6-button game at minimum. Most people will want to bind dash and parry to a single button press as well, putting every single button on a standard controller to work. As a result, I felt my hands getting lost on the controller in 2XKO more so than just about any other fighting game I've played, as my brain races to parse which special move is tied to which special button, and which direction I have to hold to use it. It's a learning curve that I was eventually able to overcome, but one that nonetheless made me yearn for a classic/modern control scheme split, like what Street Fighter 6 uses. The second big thing is that 2XKO uses an active tag system, much like what's in BlazBlue Cross Tag Battle or Power Rangers Battle for the Grid. The idea is that you pick 2 characters before the match, each of which has assist moves they can be called in to execute when they're not the active fighter, and they'll remain in a pose for a few seconds after they finish those moves before retreating back off screen. At any point while the assist character is on screen, you can press the tag button to swap control to them. This opens the door for potential tricky mix-up opportunities, especially when you're able to sandwich your target between your assists and active characters. That system works incredibly well here in 2XKO, especially since so many of the characters have special moves that seem designed specifically around it. Vi and Echo, for instance, both have specials that allow them to cross to the other side of the opponent, with the downside being that they are typically very punishable. But if you cover them with an assist, not only do you make the crossover safe, but you get a free left-right mix-up opportunity by swapping to the other character. This is just the tip of a massive iceberg though, and once you start digging into the tech of some of these characters, you'll find some absolutely dirty stuff that you can do to your opponent. Powerful offensive mechanics often demand powerful defensive mechanics, and fortunately 2XKO gives the defender plenty of options to avoid getting run over without the opportunity for any interactability. If you're blocking, you can press the light and medium attack buttons to do a retreating guard, which pushes your character away from the attacker and potentially creates some space to let you escape their pressure. This doesn't require a resource, but you need to be careful about abusing it, as the attacker can scout it out and punish it with a throw or low attack. More powerful are push blocks, which push the opponent away instead of moving yourself backwards, potentially giving the defender an opportunity to punish the attacker's whipped attack. The added defensive utility here is balanced by using up your assist and putting it on a 4-second cooldown, twice as long as a normal assist. Then there are parries that can punish foes who are being too predictable with their block strings, universal wake-up attacks that can punish aggression when you're knocked down, and wake-up rolls that can put some crucial distance between you and your opponents, or allow you to escape the corner. All of these, of course, have counters, requiring a good read or reaction on just about every interaction. Despite the overwhelming power of offense in 2xKO, the huge arsenal of universal defensive techniques make it feel like I always have a way to disrupt a predictable offense pattern and at least give myself another chance to play. Then there are the fuses. Much like grooves in the Capcom vs SNK series, fuses are a little extra bonus that you take into a match that allow you to break one of the established rules. For example, once you use your super, your combo is typically over, but with the double down fuse, you can do a super, then tag in your partner character for them to do their super to add on extra damage, and even switch characters as part of the deal. You are normally only allowed one active tag per assist call, but with the freestyle fuse, you can call in your assist, active tag to them, do a couple of hits, and then active tag back again to the first character. These fuses can totally change your approach to how you use your team and spend your meter, and experimenting with each one to try to find which one fits my playstyle and my team the best has been a lot of fun. If you don't want to learn two characters and instead just want to focus on one, there are also two fuses that allow you to do just that. Juggernaut and Sidekick both have you playing as one character with just one life bar, but to make up for it, they have increased health, higher defense, start with 2 bars of super instead of 1, and can have a maximum of 5 bars of super instead of just 3. Juggernaut also has the added advantage of being able to forcibly swap an opponent's character to focus on the one with less health and prevent them from regaining great life, while Sidekick gives you the ability to reduce the amount of damage you take by timing button presses with enemy attacks. You can also charge up your assist by holding down the tag button, letting them travel a distance before actually committing to their attack. You do lose the ability to do active tags, which is one of the most fun aspects of 2xKO, but nonetheless, I love it when tag fighters find ways to let us just focus on mastering a single character instead of having to be equally good with 2 or 3. Perhaps the most unique feature of 2xKO though is the fact that it's a fighting game that can be played cooperatively with a friend. In Duos mode, each player controls their own character, with the off-screen player being the one that can call in the assist, and the other being the one that has to do the active tag to give up control to their partner. It works both as a fun way to play a fighting game with a similarly skilled friend that doesn't involve having to beat each other up, and also as a way to introduce someone new to the genre and be able to give them real-time feedback. To really test this mode out, I played it with my best friend who typically has zero interest in fighting games. We got into training mode, I put him on a very basic strike throw game plan with Blitzcrank, who is one of the simpler characters to use, and also gave him tips on when he should tag in his assist to support my own combos. We didn't win a whole bunch, but we laughed a ton, had a couple of close sets, and it was just a wonderful way to experience a genre I love with a friend that I normally don't get to share in that kind of joy with. I don't know if I made a fighting game fan out of him, but at least I felt like I opened his eyes to the joy of the genre and got him to understand what makes it such a special corner of the world of video games. If there's one glaring weakness of 2xKO right now, it's the slim roster, with only 11 characters available as of its 1.0 release. 11 isn't even a lot for a 1v1 fighter, which makes it all that much worse for a tag fighter where you're expected to find 2 characters that fit your playstyle. While that does suck and leads to a lot of repetition where you're fighting against the same characters and the same teams over and over again, the blow is at least softened by the excellent design of those champions. Whether it's Echo and his tricky clone mining games, Yasuo's wild combo routes that have him stance canceling his way into bouncing the opponent all over the screen, Vi's insane movement and whiff punishing ability, or Alawi's tentacle setups. These are some of the most fun fighting game characters I've ever played around with. And the beauty of it is that, due to the flexibility of 2xKO's combo and fuse systems, rarely do I ever see these characters being played exactly the same way by 2 different people. Developer Riot Games has promised a fairly ambitious roadmap of 5 seasons per year, with a new champion dropping every season. So at least 2xKO aims to double its roster size in the first 2 years. That said, being a free-to-play game, only 6 champions are available when you first start, and the rest, including future DLC characters, need to be unlocked with either earned in-game currency or premium currency purchased with real money. Though crucially, you're able to play with any of the characters in the offline modes, and in training mode, which means you don't have to buy a champion just to take them into the lab and figure out how to deal with their nonsense. You also get a free champion unlock token just for completing the tutorial, and another one for completing the first steps missions, which shouldn't take more than about 2 or 3 hours. So if you have a team in mind that you want to play, you can at least snag those 2 characters for free without any sort of significant grinding. That feels pretty sufficient for a free-to-play fighting game right out of the gate, and avoids any concerns about particularly powerful champions being paywalled for now. After you spend those tokens, you're going to have to grind up 10,000 credits per champion, which should take about a week if you're on top of completing your daily, weekly, and featured challenges. That seems pretty reasonable, but what feels significantly less so is the 6,500 credits it costs to unlock a single palette swap for one character, or the 4,000 it takes for a simple avatar cosmetic item. 2XKO isn't going to impress with its ancillary modes and features. There's a cool online lobby with customizable avatars and cosmetics that you can purchase with both earned and premium currencies. There are combo trials for every champion to help you get some baseline proficiency level with them. And there's the aforementioned solid tutorial that does a respectable job of onboarding new players and introducing experienced players to the more advanced aspects of the Doom combat system. That said, there's no single-player mode whatsoever for the new players that 2XKO seems to be trying to draw in, forcing them to either just play in contextless battles against CPU opponents, or face the wolves in online play. There's also no way to practice while matchmaking, no replay takeover, and no deeper teaching tools to help you learn how to play or defend against specific characters, all features that I'd hoped for from a major fighting game in 2025, even a free-to-play one. 2XKO has found a way to distill what's fun about tag fighters. The insane mix-ups, the chaos of having assists fly in and out, the joy of landing a happy birthday as you deal damage to both of your opponent's characters at once, while mitigating a lot of the pain points that typically come with the territory. The simple inputs and intuitive combo logic lower the skill floor for complete newcomers, while the complex tag mechanics, fuses, and deep offensive and defensive mechanics push the ceiling above the clouds. It is pretty slim out of the gate, with only 11 champions and a lack of other modes beyond the very basics, but the update roadmap at least looks packed for now. Communication from Riot has been stellar so far as well, which has set 2XKO up to come strong out of the gate with a very promising path forward.
Executive Reviews editor Tom Marks here with Mitchell Saltzman once again to talk about another fighting game, one of Mitchell's absolute specialties. You reviewed Fatal Fury most recently, Street Fighter 6, Mortal Kombat 1 before that, but let's talk about this. You know, the first thing I want to touch on is a little bit of a weirder jolt. We'll talk about fighting games for sure in a second, but this is also a League of Legends game. So I wanted to both ask you what your experience with League of Legends coming into this was, but more importantly, does somebody have to have played League to get into this game? Is that a prerequisite here?
Man, it's funny you ask, because I think there was a time in my life where League of Legends was probably the most important game in my life. And I think this is probably true for a lot of people that went to college around the same time that I did, that League of Legends was like just starting to, you know, get its popularity. Eventually, I think playing together in that game kind of destroys friendships more than brings them together. So that was kind of my exit from the League scene after a little while. But no, I don't think you really need to play League of Legends to have a good time here. I think it's one of those things where if you are a fan of these characters, if you know what Blitzcrank does. Blitzcrank shoots his arm at you, pulls you in, and beats you up. If you know that Teemo uses mushrooms and is very annoying, I think you'll get a little extra bit of joy out of how they designed that character. But I don't think it's a necessary requirement.
Let's talk about something you touched on in the review as a positive. You definitely already talked about this a little bit, the co-op. This idea, or co-op is a weird word for it even, but this idea that you can play with two people, a very unique thing to this game, where one person is controlling one character, the other person is controlling the other, and then you actually switch control when you tag your characters in and out. I want to know, how seriously should we take this? Is this just sort of a gimmick to teach your friends, like you said in the review? Or do you think this is a legitimate way people are going to play? Are we going to see people competing at tournaments like this? How much should we take this seriously?
So one thing that's important to note, I don't know how many people who aren't really super into the fighting game scene right now know this or super into 2XKO, but Riot is getting behind this in a big way. They have offered a bounty basically on these early tournaments, at least for any team
who goes to a tournament and wins first place will get an extra $2,500 on top of the whatever they already won. So
and this is a tournament against other solos potentially.
Yeah, so that's the whole idea. Like if you are queuing up into a ranked match, you can either queue up as a solo player or you can queue up as a team. Because there's no real advantage to playing as a 2-player squad. It's, you can kind of argue that it takes a little bit off the mental stack of only having to focus on one character, but you lose the ability to you can't read each other's mind as much as you form like a good connection with a good duos partner. You can't just know instinctively what the other person is thinking. Do I think that we're going to see like an Evo winner that's a duo team? I don't think so, but I would love to be proven wrong. I think it would be super cool to watch. It would be a super cool story. Yeah, I'm excited to see how I feel like it's going to be the modern control thing with Street Fighter 6, where you don't think modern is going to be a super viable control scheme at a super high level, and then you've got these people coming into top 8 with a modern Chun-Li. So I think it'll be very interesting to see how duo play kind of turns out on a competitive level.
Speaking of tournament play and competition and all that sort of stuff, I think a fighting game can be great on its own merits and still sort of putter out, because so much of fighting games is the community that rallies around them, those tournaments being hosted at your locals and that sort of thing. So this is very speculative. We don't want to build up any game before we've seen it out in the wild or write it off, but what do you think? Do you think this game is worth investing time in? Do you think that the Riot factor of it having this big budget is going to help it go the distance? Or do you think that it's kind of too early to say?
I definitely think that this game is going to have legs, and it's not just the Riot factor, it's the people that Riot have put onto this game. It's, the passion that they've shown in bringing this game to EVO, 3-4 years in a row. You can see it in the patch notes. You can see it in that Teemo trailer that was released, where it's just like packed with all these like in joke or in community references of like fighting game stuff. And you can see it like the patch notes are like one of the most, it's like some of the clearest patch notes I've ever seen. They're extensive, they're very easy to follow. You can tell that this game is being made by people who love and appreciate fighting games, and also like they're also made by, or like the game balance team, I believe, is made up of actual pro fighting game players who are like huge names in the Marvel vs. Capcom scene. You got like Apology Man, you got Clockwork, you got Yohozi, like all these really, really big name fighting game players that are working on this game. I just don't see any way that this does not foster a community, just based on the people that are working on it.
Sure, and it's impossible to say, right, in the long term. Anything can happen. The patches can go bad. We don't know, but it's nice to hear that, all these fighting games, it takes work to get good at them, to learn them, to spend the time to get them. So it's nice to hear that you think that probably this is not a waste of time to invest in or whatever.
No, definitely not. I think this game is going to be here for quite a while. I can't imagine what this game would look like if it ever had a roster of champions even half as big as League of Legends. But I'm very curious to see what this game is going to look like once there's 25 characters in the roster, because I think it's going to be pretty wild.
Yeah, you say small roster as a complaint, and careful what you wish for.
Yeah, right.
4 or 5 years and you're dealing with 70 or whatever. Jeez.
Oh, no.
Well, Mitchell.
The monkey paw curls.
Yeah, exactly. Wukong coming in from the rafters with the steel chair. Mitchell, thank you so much for talking with us about this, a little bit more about your history with League and all that jazz. If you want another Mitchell review, our last one was Wuchang Fallen Feathers, where we had a conversation at the end of that one as well. And then for a very different type of fighting game, not fighting in the literal sense of a fighting game, but in a game where you fight, Ghost of Yotei, we had a review of that one. I'm looking for segues here. Don't worry about me. For everything else, stick with IGN.